That is exactly why I played this video to Rosanna's team. So what I said to her was, when the materials management person, rep, stocker, whatever, takes supplies out of a lum bin, lum tote, and puts it in your bin, what we want them to do is front the stuff that's in the bin, put the new stuff in the back of the bin. First in, first out. That's what we want. Ideally, the stuff that's already in the bin expires sooner than the stuff you just got. It'd be nice if you looked, but you ain't gonna look at all that stuff. You're stocking flushes, you're gonna stock 100 at a time. Ideally, first in, first out works. What's ever in there should come forward. Whatever you're putting in should go in the back. Ideally. I said this to Rosanna's team of 100 clinicians. I said, now, it wasn't Petra. It was Lee Avery. I said, Lee, if you go in your supply room and you grab a bunch of IV tubing and you take it to your med room, because that's where you need it, that's where you're going to spike your fluid and prime your tubing, who's going to do that? Materials management can't go in your med room. You got to do that. Or the stuff that you put in there is going to expire. If you don't do that first in, first out, front the old stuff when you bring the new stuff in. I said, this happens at the grocery store. You go to the grocery store, buy some milk. You got milk that expires in a couple weeks, and behind it, a couple weeks after that. And how many of y'all reach to the back and get the one?
Every time.
That's what they did in the meeting. And I said to them in the meeting, don't do that at work. You can do that in the grocery store. Don't do that at work.
And I look at the expiration date.
See?
Especially with salads, I like to pick all of them up.
So that was the point, is you got supplies in a cart. Materials management ain't stocking that cart. You got a cabinet, you got a drawer, you got nurse servers, you got a med room, you got supplies all over the place. That's your job. That's your responsibility. Don't be blaming materials because you found a bunch of expired stuff in your office. That's your office. That's your med room. Now, most places own that stuff well. Pediatrics, you go to the pediatric floor, they open up a cart, they'll have bags full of blood tubes. With a big pink sticky on the bag says expires 8/22 or 8/24. Hope it ain't 8/22. It'll have they check those things. You go to their room, not supply room, but room with stuff in it. It'll have things of blood tubes with sticky, with Sharpie. Expires 12/24. They track that. They are not putting expired crap in kids. They take that seriously. The nurse manager makes sure that happens right. The nurses on the floor make sure that they own that patient. They're the last line of defense for the safety of that patient. That's not true everywhere here. We want it to be. That's why I showed this to Rosanna's group. That's why I said, don't blame supply chain if it expires in your med room. That's on you. And if you're not going to own it, then quit putting crap in your med room. When you need it, go get it out the supply room like you're supposed to. And they said, we ain't doing that. We're going to put it in the med room. Then you own this. If there's a recall, you own this. You got to go look at those lot numbers. Materials management ain't going in there. So it is materials role on the PARs, but not in areas you don't stock. Does that make sense? Clinicians don't like it. I'm the laziest nurse on the planet. I ain't looking at stuff. But if I worked here, I would have to. Janet Smith would make me. If I worked in pediatrics, she would make me care about expiration dates of a Band-Aid. Because you ain't putting an expired Band-Aid on her kids. She'll fire me if I do. Period. I ain't asking. You don't get no second chance. If you're that stupid to put an expired item on my kid, you can't work here. Go work somewhere else. She takes it that, I mean, there's no joke. I want that. If my kid's here, that's what I want. People that care about this beyond what many would see as normal. Make sense?